Okay, this is going to be really, we're going to have to figure out how to, can you all hear me and it not be screeching loud? Is this okay? More? I don't want to be loud. It is right at 6:01 and we have a lineup of people who wish to speak, so I wanted to get things started, and feel free as people come in. I'm sure more will come in after the time, but I wanted to welcome all of our citizens and thank you for taking time to take an interest in your city and your county. I know some of you all are county residents as well who are concerned about this issue, and we welcome you to this public forum as well. Before we begin, I want to make it clear that it's a public meeting where citizens can express their concerns, but this is not a bashing or name calling session, and we do have law enforcement on hand, and I hope we don't need to use them. I have full faith that everyone can express their views and maintain public decorum. Before we begin, please know that the Oneida Mayor and Aldermen have not ever expressed their support for this project in any manner, and it has never been on an agenda for our regular meetings. Next, I want to personally make it clear that I have no business connection whatsoever to Knox Horner or Roberta Landfill, period. Finally, because of the complexity of this issue and the potential for future litigation, I'm going to put my lawyer hat on for a minute, sorry, and inform you, to those who are speaking, you may pose questions to us. I'm going to respectfully ask the alderman to defer responding to those questions, or myself, until we've had time to investigate and accurately respond. At this point, any public statements that are made that could be inaccurate could subject the town to costly litigation, and considering how hard we work to get a budget in place without a property tax increase, I don't want to jeopardize our position in the future. Any questions that we can legitimately answer, we will do so once we've had some time to investigate and provide accurate responses. I do have some questions sent by Mr. McNamara today that I will try to respond to the best of my ability at the end of the slated speakers. So the procedure that I have the list of speakers in front of me, and I'll give you the list. Number 1 is Bill Hall. Number 2, Ralph Trieschman. Number 3, Kenny Newport. Number 4, Micah Phillips. Number 5, Cheyenne Leonardo. Number 6, Stephen Phillips. Number 7, James Stewart. Number 8, Kathy Obershansky. Number 9, Ella Mullis. Number 10, Fred Dan. Number 11, Sheena King. Number 12, John King. Is John here? I had not marked that he was here. Okay, I'll keep him on the list. We'll see. Okay. And then number 13 is Scott McNamara. And as your mayor, I am totally open to meeting with citizens outside of this meeting as well. We just wanted to have people sign up ahead of time so that we would have some order for this meeting and have kind of an expected time frame. I'm asking these speakers to keep their comments below 10 minutes if possible. If you don't use 10 minutes, that's perfectly fine, and we'll get out of here before 0:30. But I welcome your comments. And first up is Bill Hall, because he's got another meeting he's got to get to. You want to hold it, or
I'll
put
it
it?
right
Okay.
here,
Your teachers are like.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Alderman. Thank you for what you do, taking the time and effort to serve your community, and it's greatly appreciated. As Mayor Phillips said, Mayor Jones, excuse me, said, I'm Bill Hall. I'm the director of the Scott County Schools. I've been the educator for getting ready to start year 37. 6 of those years were spent right here at Oneida High School, and the last 30 have been with the Scott County school system. I've been a teacher, a coach, assistant principal, and for the past 14 years, director of schools, and when July 1 hits, I'll start year 15. Thank you for your time, for being here today, and thank everyone for also coming out tonight. It's an important issue, an important thing for the citizens of Scott County. I did receive some, well, I'll go ahead and start when this first, I guess, a couple weeks ago, I get the county commission meeting. One of my board members called and said, hey, said, hurry and get out here, said, I'm saving you a seat. Place is packed. I'm thinking, why? I said, you don't start till 6 o'clock, and it's only 4:45. He said, no, it starts at 5, and there's tons of people here. So I drive out, and there were. I think, oh gosh, what school issue we got going on here tonight? And I didn't know until I heard the people talk on the issue that was in front of us. And I guess it greatly kind of stuck home because this has been my home 60 plus years. Proud to call it home, proud to go somewhere. I was at a superintendent meeting last week, and the superintendent from Sevier County Schools, of course, they have Great Smoky Mountains, they have Pigeon Forge, they have Dollywood, they have everything. She said, I hiked in the Big South Fork. She said, don't ever let your community change. It's beautiful. Said the people are so nice, so warm, so welcoming. Said it was so comforting to go somewhere and not worry about commercialized, not worry about things. That was the day that we had the meeting at the county commission. So again, that really kind of got me thinking and going on. And I woke up this morning, got an email from several people concerning about the new transfer station of trash, best word I know to use, that was going to be placed, looked like about, looking at a map, about 300 feet from the Winfield football field, close to our front doors and cafeteria at the Winfield School. The guy says, as an educator, kids have been my passion. As a father, they've been my passion. And looking at that and reading into it and doing my own research, talking to people, reaching out, listening, I see nothing good that can come from this, wherever it's placed, especially being 300 feet from a school. With kids in a building, we have 200 close to Winfield. A little bit about Winfield School. Pre-COVID, we run about 230 kids. Today, we're close to 200. We got down to 140 kids after COVID. They've been our largest growing school since COVID. They're here tonight, guys. These people are workers. They are educators. They love what they do. They chose that profession to educate your children, and they do that well. And to put this in their front door is appalling. It is degrading. And it is beyond something that we as Scott Countyans can't sit still for, guys. We cannot. These people work hard every day. There's 200 kids. Math's okay with me. I can figure things out. It's 400 parents. There's also with grandparents, you add 2 sets of grandparents, that's 800. That touches a lot of lives right there. That's a beautiful community. Let's don't junk it and make it something that it was never meant to be for. I don't know. I've heard rumors, and I'm not going to mention. Let's stop it. Let's get this stopped. Let's get it stopped now. I don't know if this will come before you guys. There's no place. We don't need this. We don't need anyone else's trash coming into our beautiful place. We have a place, we do our own. Let's take care of our own. We don't need everyone else's. To my knowledge, these open containers coming in. Scott County's pretty windy on some days, especially here the past couple months when we get through March and April. Those things will blow off. It'll get into our land. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And guys, when it comes to the children, there is a heavier burden and more duty of care when you're dealing with children. And with that heavier, stronger duty of care comes a bigger, deeper responsibility. Our responsibility, protect these children. Protect that community. That should be our job. And I hope if it falls to you guys, I hope you all do the right thing and do that. Don't know where it's going to land, don't know how. That's above my pay grade. Somebody will figure that out. But we as Scott Counties need to stop this. It needs to stop. I love this place. These children need an advocate. I will be their advocate throughout this process. I know I've got my back covered by these people here, and I feel like I'll have it from you guys, and I feel like my board is going to be 100% with this. And I think that we need to fight this and move forward, guys. Don't let this happen in our place. Do not. Guys, that's all I have. Thank you for your time. Like I said, I hope it don't have to fall with you because I don't understand all that. It's, like I said, above my pay grade. If it does, I hope we do the right thing, guys. Let's keep this place beautiful. Thank you, and have a good rest of the meeting.
A lot of notes. Hello, neighbors. My name is Ralph Trieschman, and before any of you judge me as being an outsider because of my last name, just know that my family, thanks to Michelle, has been in Scott County for over 200 years. My children have ancestors buried in Brimstone Mountain. In fact, Michelle's father, James Walker, if you know him, he'll be 95 next month. And while I won't mention the age of her mother, Joanne, she is still with us and celebrating her birthday next month, along with their 67th wedding anniversary. So I am speaking as somebody who understands and cares about this community. I'm as much a part of this as y'all that were raised here. I am here specifically to speak on behalf of the business that Michelle and I started called Timber Rock Lodge, and for the many neighboring businesses, charities, and families who call North Oneida home. I also speak as chairman of the Oneida Industrial Board, a director of the Scott County Chamber of Commerce, and as a conservation-minded Eagle Scout. We are deeply concerned about a proposal that would fundamentally alter the character, safety, and economic future of our community. Not necessarily the landfill itself, which clearly has been in planning stages for over 15 years when the permit was first issued, but rather the plans that could be made to build a landfill driveway with direct access to Highway 27 north of Bear Creek Road, all the way up to and right in front of the Children's Center. Now, I'm not sure if the update that was published in the Herald had any changes in their plans, as it's claimed that now only train traffic will bring in garbage in sealed containers to be trucked directly into the landfill. I don't know if I believe that that's a long-term play or even true at all. I don't know. That's not my place, but my place is to say that if this council or if this government can do something about it, I would like to ask that if that is their plan, then this shouldn't be a problem. What I'm speaking of, let me be clear, is that this is not just about a driveway on private property that the landfill developers may have purchased, or even about using easements through the center of the Timber Rock Lodge campus, which they have suggested is a possibility, or other neighboring residences' easements. It's about the identity of Oneida and the vision we have for the town's future. Highway 27 is not just any highway. It is the gateway to our town. It is the first impression visitors get of Oneida and Scott County. Every year, thousands of tourists travel the route to visit Big South Fork, to hike, to ride horses, to fish, and to stay in peaceful places like Timber Rock Lodge or any of the many Airbnb or campground facilities who rely on tourists for their income. We all offer experiences that celebrate our natural beauty, our small town charm, and our deep connection to the land. And yet, now we are facing a plan for industrial landfill traffic, dump trucks, heavy machinery, waste hauling vehicles to enter and exit right at that welcome sign to Oneida, into a new industrial entrance from Highway 27 that would be at the very least quite an eyesore and potentially a disaster area. This kind of development flies in the face of everything we've worked so hard to build within our town. Timber Rock Lodge has become far more than just a lodging business I had hoped to build for my children to benefit from one day. It has become a de facto community and welcome center for both locals and visitors. In addition to our overnight hotel accommodations, we provide event spaces that are used for everything from pop-up restaurant nights to murder mysteries, weddings, corporate retreats, and family reunions. We even proudly hosted the current landfill's holiday party. I don't love that we already have a landfill behind us, but we have learned how to work together with them and not to harm anything in the process. We directly and indirectly employ over a dozen local residents, staff, housekeepers, landscapers, carpenters, and lease space to the locally owned skin clinic, which provides spa and medical services to both residents and tourists. Our doors are open to other local entrepreneurs as well, yoga teachers, caterers, photographers, wellness providers. They have all had the opportunity to use our park-like facility to grow their businesses and professions. And we don't stop there. We proudly offer our venue free of charge for several local clubs and raise money for charities and community groups, including the Women's Shelter, For the Love of Paws, the Appalachian Society of the Arts, among others. We have even opened the doors to economic development efforts like Chamber of Commerce meetings and other Oneida County Oneida and county town meetings. We are in every sense a resource and a partner for this town, who have demonstrated our conservation ideals and preservation of our history by rehabilitating and respecting the former Jim Barna Homes headquarters. I assure you that beautiful structure may have survived long enough after Jim's death for us to come along to repurpose it, but it will not survive long if we are to share a driveway with garbage trucks. The result of our efforts, we contribute significantly to the tax revenues for both Oneida and Scott County, to employment, and to economic diversity in a sustainable, community-first way. And we hope you have found what we offer to be lots of fun as well. Now, I want to acknowledge something important. I have met with Knox Horner. I don't know if he's here tonight, but I have met with him. He reached out to us after the letter I had written to the editors of the newspapers, and it was published. And I want to thank him for his openness and civility. Mr. Horner expressed a desire to be a good neighbor and stated clearly that he does not wish to disrupt our business or the lives of those around us. Given those intentions, and given that alternative ingress routes along Bear Creek Road or west of their proposed rail transfer location, for example, are available to him, I believe he would support reasonable and responsible zoning decisions that protect the heart of Oneida. We thank Mr. Horner for his promise to be a good neighbor, and we look forward to learning more about how he plans to fulfill that promise. Now, I also want to address what some may seem as an irony. Many are aware that I've publicly supported the Rail to Trail project, one that utilizes railroad-owned property that passes through and across near the homes of other Scott Countyans. And yes, I still support it. But my position is the same in both cases. I stand for conservation over destruction of natural beauty. I stand for planned, intentional development that enhances, not diminishes, our community. I believe deeply in promoting sustainable industries like tourism, which preserve our resources while building our economy. And it doesn't have to turn into Pigeon Forge. For those who might think that this landfill driveway through the middle of Timber Rock Lodge's campus is some sort of karmic justice, I ask you to pause and weigh the difference between a linear park for bicycles, not ATVs, versus garbage trucks lined up in front of the Children's Center 24 hours a day, or pulling out into traffic in front of everyone, trailing odors and whatever that drippy stuff is that we all see coming out of garbage trucks. Am I some sort of enemy of the people for endorsing a bike path that I deserve to watch my investment in making something nice for our community get buried in garbage? I hope not. But let's stay focused. I don't want to talk about bike paths this week. Let's talk about that another day. Let's stay focused on what is really going to do us harm, and all work together to prevent that harm. We can go back to debating that other bike trail next month, right? Beyond the impact on tourism, we must consider the real daily consequences for residents, charities, schools, and local businesses that line Highway 27 coming into town. Increased noise, air pollution, traffic backups, debris, road damage, safety concerns, and declining property values. The potential harm is not hypothetical or exaggerated. It's real, it's immediate, and it's irreversible. I hold that the entrance road to a dump is already the dump itself. But here is some good news. It doesn't have to be this way. There are better options. Bear Creek Road, already an access to a landfill, and other less visible access points exist and already include turning lanes for trucks headed up to a landfill that could be upgraded to handle newly proposed landfill traffic without compromising Oneida's entry corridor or community image. These routes would protect both economic activity and quality of life. And that's why we're calling on the Oneida Government and Planning Commission to make two important steps. First, enact zoning ordinances and land use restrictions that prohibit industrial access points, especially landfill entrances, through existing residential and commercial land, alongside vital commercial and tourism gateways like Highway 27. This is not about stopping progress, it's about guiding it wisely. One new business should not seek to profit at the cost of already existing ones that seem to care more about our community than just making money. Second, work with our county officials and the Winfield government and the landfill operators to require access via Bear Creek or another less intrusive route if there must be a landfill. This planning conversation should be a simple addition to what we all hope is a very active conversation already happening to ensure that the type of waste being proposed will be handled safely, not endanger our health or the health of our children or the health of the environment that we are stewards of, and that this project overall is based on need and not greed. We are at a pivotal moment. This driveway, if allowed, would damage our image and our economy, and it will be long-lasting. If we take thoughtful, proactive steps now, we can ensure that the growth happens in a way that respects the people, the businesses, and the beauty of Oneida. We're not asking for protection just for Timber Rock Lodge. We are asking for protection of Oneida's reputation, its economy, and its community spirit. Let us stand together for a smarter, more sustainable future. As I've said time and time again, we as a community and you as our government need to take control of planning, or else others will make plans for you, and you will not like their choices. I hold that planning a bike path park is far better than letting a railbed go wild, attracting vagrants and unwanted ATV traffic. I also hold that we must define how this proposed landfill will be operated in our community, or else uncaring forces will look back in history and laugh at the suckers they took advantage of in the hills of Appalachia while they count their money thousands of miles away. An all too familiar refrain from this area. Do not be complacent or assume there is nothing you can do about it. This is your home too. Get organized and figure out what can be done. If there is to be another landfill due to circumstances beyond your powers, that does not mean that you have no say in how it is run. Thank you.
I have Kenny Newport is next.
Mayor Jones, I'm on the line because some of the issues that I have already been discussed.
Okay.
I don't see a need to repeat those.
Okay, thank you very much, Kenny. I have Micah Phillips.
Great Scott, keep it clean. By a show of hands, does anyone remember that slogan? Anybody in the room? Great Scott, keep it clean. Yep, I do. As a child in school, the county government taught the children of Scott County to keep our county clean under the Great Scott Keep It Clean initiative. We were taught to protect our environment. We were taught to not litter. We were taught about the negative impact that trash can have on our environment. The kids that the Scott County government taught about keeping our beautiful county clean are grown up now, and we listened. We're here. I don't usually speak about our county issues, and doing this is out of character for me. However, with the issue at hand, I can't sit quietly. You see, I'm a mother now. I have to speak up. The children of our county deserve better than this. According to the EPA, many of the waterways in Oneida are already contaminated. Did you know that our drinking water has had health-based violations? My point is, our water is already contaminated. Can you imagine what another landfill with hazardous material being hauled in from other areas could do to our health? I'll say it again, our children deserve better than this. A few weeks ago, Mr. Horner, a man who isn't from here, decided it would be a wonderful idea to put a trash transfer station at the old Hartco site. He graciously changed his mind when he heard the outcry from the community, only to turn around and file for a transfer station near the former coal tipple off Poplar Lane in Winfield. This is only a short distance away from Winfield Elementary School. This is a horrible idea. As many of you have probably heard, in McCreary County, there was a similar station that has caught fire twice, and citizens nearby have had to evacuate. What is this going to do to our children at Winfield Elementary? What about our teachers at Winfield Elementary? This is a major concern, guys, and these are the faces. It's not just a number. These are the faces. These are the educators that are concerned in this, not to mention the 200 children that Mr. Hall mentioned. Again, our children deserve better than this. I would like to address Mr. Horner directly if he's here. You're welcome here. You're welcome to live here. You are welcome to open a business here. You are not welcome to come here and trash our county. I and many others will not support you. As a mom and an educator, I'm here to speak for the most vulnerable in our community, our children. We do not need another landfill, and we do not need a transfer station. To our county government, I know most of you on a personal level in some form or fashion, and I have respect for you. I believe you have good intentions. I ask if there's any way to stop this, please help us. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for giving me the floor to voice my concerns. Most importantly, as a community, let's stick together and keep Scott County clean. Thank you, and God bless you.
Hello, my name is Cheyenne Leonardo. I'm a local writer, poet, artist, and performer who is endlessly inspired by the natural beauty here in the Big South Fork, and I have a few words I'd like to share with you today. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and prophets. I ask you then, what does it mean to love thy neighbor? Loving your neighbor is akin to loving God. It means that we are all part of a great and beautiful tapestry in which we, human, animal, tree, and stream, are all a piece of God's creation. It means we have a responsibility to consider how our actions affect others and refuse to look the other way when everything we share is under threat. It means we wield all of our collective power, from the personal to the political, to fight for the vitality and integrity of our community. Now, what does that have to do with a landfill? Waste management is a multi-billion-dollar industry that profits from using poor rural areas in our beloved Appalachian Mountains as a rich man's dumping ground. As always, at the people's expense. For every meager cent we may receive in compensation, we pay tenfold in return with our health and well-being. I urge you, do not be fooled by false promises and empty political jargon. Housing hazardous waste atop a major tributary into the Big South Fork River is neither safe nor sustainable. Do not fall for the lies. Do not sign away our lives to some nebulous notion of private enterprise. It is not private when the activities in question will wreak havoc upon everyone's homes, businesses, natural resources, and health. In this moment, our lands are under siege, and we cannot throw up our hands and declare that there's nothing we can do. How could we ever explain ourselves to our children and grandchildren who will be left to reckon with the impact of our present decisions? What legacy do we wish to leave for future generations? We will not accept outcomes that were forced upon us 15, 20, 30 years ago as the best we can do today. This is Scott County, where in 1861, we came together and by a landslide popular vote declared ourselves the free and independent state of Scott when we didn't like what was being imposed. We are not ignorant, helpless hillbillies. We will not accept a single cent in exchange for poison, exploitation, and degradation. We will not be the collateral damage in someone else's personal success story. Now is the time for every person in this room not to shrug off blame, but to realize that right now we are all responsible for this mess. Every single one of us must dig deep and reclaim our agency, our latent power, whether as an elected leader, business owner, or regular citizen, and ask, what can I do to protect this community? What can I do as the one true law commands to be a good and loving neighbor? I'd like to end with a poem called Filth. Who signed off on making everything a commodity? Consumers, once known as humans, cannot escape the consequence of waste, no matter how hard we try to cast it out of sight and mind. More than mere ignorance, these moral failings are made to fit the norm, engineered to serve some hidden purpose, entirely too terrible to ever be believed, at least as long as we maintain that we are being looked after rather than left to rot in an open-air prison wading through mountains of uniquely American filth. This cancer condemns us to find its reflection ravaging our own bodies, indiscriminate, as disease abides by the truth that we are all one, whether you knew better or not. One way or another, we will answer for this mess. Mother's wounds carved out by her own children and packed with trash. Will we have one more chance at Eden Earth, or is this life the last? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steven. I don't really know what to say. I have some notes here, but this is the last thing that I want to be doing right now. This is uncomfortable and unpleasant for everyone involved. I first of all want to say that I feel that regardless of who is involved, the way that this has happened is absolutely horrible and horribly wrong. And I want to say that from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry to everyone that we're having to deal with all of this. I believe that this is a matter of public health. For the sake of both humans and the earth, our homeland, and all of its life forms. Now, let's observe the illusion of democracy. If you will, humor me and raise your hand if you believe that this is a public health issue. Thank you. Most everyone here is against this project. But, as you see, there are a few who have the means to manipulate the law so as to make things like this perfectly legal to their own benefit and at the expense of everyone else. And they tell you that there is nothing that you can do about it, and they are not accountable. And this will continue until it's not allowed to continue anymore, somehow. That's all I have to say at this time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm James Stewart. I've been a resident here in Scott County for 10 years now. I live over on 2nd Avenue. My father and his family go back to the 1700s in this area, and they currently live in Texas. And I wanted to share with you some things I personally know about this situation, about the potential for what's being considered here. When you allow someone to dump in a place that's not their own living space, there's no accountability for what gets put in the ground, what's thrown out. If you know when you're throwing something away that it's going off to another county, another state, there's no telling what ends up in the trash. It could be biological, it could be pesticides, it could be all kinds of toxic substances, solvents, any number of things. And when it's not going in your own backyard, there's just a lot of people that aren't concerned what they put in the trash. You can call it household waste, but think about the things that are in your house. There's chemicals, there's drugs, there's needles, there's all sorts of paint and solvents. There's just about anything you can have in any other environment. And we don't, as Scott County folks, we don't dump our trash in other counties. We have a landfill here in our own county. And yet we're considering allowing somebody else to come dump in our county. And the consequences of that, I'll share with you here, could be way beyond trashing up the entrance to a business or harmful to a school that's down the road. Although those are big concerns, it can affect our county and even beyond our county, up into McCreary County and beyond, because we have rivers around here that, as you know, run up into Kentucky. And if we're talking about legal liability, if our trash ends up from Scott County up in other counties, you talk about legal liability, we could be big time in problems there. Now, I mentioned my dad goes back to 1700s, but he left this area. His family moved to Texas to work in petrochemicals, and that's why they live in Pearland, Texas today. In Pearland, Texas, just a few miles down the road from them, there was a company that came in and wanted permission to dump waste in their county. It was a rural county. It's a big county now, but back in those days, it was only about 5,000 population in the 50s. In 1957, they dug 20 to 30 foot pits in a field out in the middle of nowhere and dumped waste in there from 1957 to 1982. They began to build houses around that area, and the waste that they put in the ground was supposed to be safe. But, they put liners in the pits that they put there, and they're not supposed to leak. But guess what happens? The liners deteriorate over time, and they get perforated by the trash that goes into the pits, and they leak. And as the waste decomposes, it gets into a liquid, and it leaks out into the ground. And what happened is it polluted the soil, it polluted the water, and it polluted the air in that area. And the incidence of nervous system problems among people there, birth defects, reproductive issues, heart problems, and cancer went through the roof. And the EPA came in the 80s. They shut it down, and the company went bankrupt. And so company's no longer responsible. Guess who got to pay for the problem? The taxpayers. To this day, there are booths out in the field around there that monitor the air, they monitor the water, they monitor the ground. They go deep down into the ground, and they cost millions of dollars to set up. And to this day, they're still monitoring that area. And as a result of that dumping in that area, 670 homes were demolished. Not to mention the children who were born with birth defects, the couples and families who lost children because they were, having reproductive issues, the heart problems, the nervous problems that happened as a result of it. So no matter how good the efforts are to so-called seal and have safe dumping in these areas, there's always going to be some that gets out from the containment area, and it's going to go into other places. So it's not just a concern for Winfield School or for businesses in the area or the homes that are immediately around there. It could literally go all over the county. It could go up into Kentucky. It could go all over the place, because when these poisons get down into the water system, wherever the springs run, wherever the rivers run, wherever it goes, that's where the poisons go. They spread all over the place. So, at risk of putting such landfill in there, we could lose the sports complex, we could lose homes all around the area. The county property values in the entire county could go down, and even beyond our county. But most of all, think about all the people's lives it will affect, and how many lives could be destroyed as a result of accepting waste from some other place. And I heard it mentioned, I was out of town at the last meeting, that our city would benefit 85 cents a load, and the county would benefit 85 cents a load for receiving trash. And I read something in the news that it would be $1.25 or $1.20 that's proposed. But there's no way you can put a dollar sign on those kind of effects. There's really only a few reasons that somebody in this business would want to come into a place like ours to dump their trash, and that is, it's cheaper and there's more profit in it than doing it somewhere else. And why would you allow somebody else to bring their waste into our county and dump it? Why would you do that? If I want to take a load of construction material, say I demolish a shed from my backyard, and I take it down there to Raccoon Valley to dispose of it, it will cost me a minimum of $95 for a load. And if it's certain types of materials, the price goes up from there. And yet, what I heard was that our county and city would somehow, would we entertain the idea of receiving trash for $1.20 or $2.40 county and city? That just doesn't make any sense at all. And for our own citizens here in Scott County, if you want to go dump at the current landfill that we have, it'll cost you $33.70 a ton. And if it's construction materials, it'll cost you $38 a ton. So why would we let someone bring waste from outside the county? I'm not for it in any way, but we certainly shouldn't consider doing it for the kind of prices that we're talking about. But I don't think we should consider it at all, because it's just not good for our people. It's not good for us. And it's a good way to destroy our county and to destroy our people. And we don't need that. All right, we have a beautiful county. I've traveled over 40 countries throughout the world, and this is one of the most beautiful places that I've been. And we shouldn't trash it. And we have enough waste to deal with of our own, and hopefully we'll be responsible with that, but we shouldn't even consider bringing waste in from the outside. That shouldn't be a consideration at all. So I'd like to say, if there's some reason that this land is designated and there's some legal reason that the land is zoned or something for a landfill, that there are things that we can do about it as a county, such as charging prohibitive fees where somebody, it would not be an attractive option for them to come dump here. We do have control over what fees that we charge. And if somebody's bringing trash in from the outside and we're being forced to allow land to be used for a landfill, charge $500 a ton. Because they won't want to do business here. They'll take their trash somewhere else, which is what should be happening in the first place. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Obrushansky. You can thank my wonderful husband from Hungary for that name. Many of you, if you have children, may know me as Miss O. I'm the French teacher. Before that, I taught here at Oneida. My mom, Marietta Neely, can you hear me, Mom? She's from Scott County. Her parents, Avi and Kathleen Ellis, are from Scott County. My grandfather was a superintendent of schools. And I came here every summer, even though I grew up in Georgia, I came here every summer and spent my entire summer here. Sad to say, sometimes walking the railroad track with Michelle, which you're not supposed to do. But this is my home, and we moved, after I lived in Europe, we moved here back in 2000, and this is an amazing place. When I travel overseas, I try to go every summer, and I come back. And I'm overwhelmed by the beauty. Just makes me want to cry. The beauty of this place, the green, the smell. And I think I see a lot of people shaking their heads, yes. You know, the rivers. My husband can never get over, he says all the time, I just can't get over it, that we can travel 20 minutes from our home and I can fish and hunt. And in clean water, we can jump in this creek and not feel like we're going to die, like in the Danube or something, right? So we don't want to ruin that. And this is why I have done extensive research. And I know I'm not alone. Many of you that I've been connecting with have been doing extensive research. You can't sleep at night. I can't sleep at night. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, can't sleep. Let me get on some research. People are like, how have you found all this out? It's all publicly accessible information. It's all, and there are transparency laws that require our officials to provide that, especially with landfills. The biggest weapon that Knox Horner, that Bearcat, which is locally owned, and that Roberta Landfill Phase 2, which is locally owned. The biggest arsenals, the weapons that they have in their arsenal is secrecy. And also making us believe that we have to continue with this peasant mentality. That we have to continue to keep our head down, that we cannot stand up against the fat cats in our county, and I'm sorry, but there are, and a lot of them are very nice, and I like them, as long as they're not trying to kill me and my family and my students and my friends and my neighbors, right? So, yes, we can stand up, and we have an obligation to stand up. I loved Cheyenne's, it just made me cry. And what are we going to what is our legacy to our children? I look around and I don't see a lot of young people here. My own son, who's 21, wouldn't come. Broke my heart. If I could pull him by the ear here, I would. But he wouldn't come. He didn't see the use in it. And what are we going to tell? What am I going to tell my son? What are we going to tell our children and our grandchildren if we don't get some action? If we can't do anything to protect them and protect ourselves, and we lose again? Is that going to convince the young people in this community that community involvement is important? Nope. They're going to continue to sit on the couch and play video games, which is sadly what my 20-year-old son is doing right now. He's a brilliant young man, but he sees no sense in any of this. How are we going to convince him otherwise? I would love to say, hey, we all showed up. Hey, our elected officials listened to us, and they took action, and they stood up against fat cats, even billionaires from out of town, stuck their neck out a little bit, and we protected ourselves to the extent that we could. I hope we can do that. I really do. I do want to thank our mayor, our alderman for listening, because this, you don't have to do this. You could have just said, nope, because this is, uncomfortable for everyone, right? So I do thank you guys very much for listening. And I want to just talk about what can we do? What can Oneida do? Because you can't do everything, right? But what is it in your arsenal that you can do? I want to point out that under Tennessee law, trash trains do not have to have a tarp even. Trucks do, trains don't. So this is not bringing in the train loads of trash is much worse, because it is now making the entirety of the tracks that go through our county a dump. Everyone that lives along that dump is now going to be exposed to coal ash, medical waste, poop. I'll say it again, poop. I'm around teenagers too much. We accept poop. I was shocked when I saw the list, right? It's named in a fancy way, but that's what it is. And that's going to be sitting in, we all know that these trains just don't always move, right? We all live along these tracks, and they sit, and they fester, and then all of the rats and the flies and all that are going to be going right into our homes. And metal shavings. That was a shocker. And I thank Stephen for posting that. That was a shocker to see what we are already accepting, and that's part of the special waste under the Class 1. So when Knox Horner said, oh, it's just kitchen trash, no, it's not, because special waste includes a whole bunch of stuff, and now we know what that is. So it's also industrial waste, and all that means. So one other little caveat, I don't want to repeat things that other people have said, but talking about the school being that's 1 football field away from this trash transfer, which that is actually worse than the landfill, because the landfill, they put it there, smush it down, cover it up with clay, right? This trash transfer, it's uncovered, it's sitting, and it is not the pretty little thing that Knox Horner likes to put in when he submits his proposals to TDEC. I've seen those. No. It is open, and then they have just a big digger, and they're aerating all of that garbage, including the metal shavings. And then 1 poof of wind doesn't take very long for all of those metal shavings and all of that nastiness to be on the playground, right? And into the soil. And we already have a problem with a lot of neurological problems with our children. So someone mentioned that the similar site in McCreary County has caught fire twice. They had to evacuate everyone. in my opinion, I'm sure Mr. Hall would see the need that we would have to have a bus and a driver sitting there 24/7 ready to evacuate Winfield School, right? We've had to evacuate Scott High before, and, you know, it wasn't that urgent, but it took some time to get the bus and a bus driver there. You wouldn't have that time at Winfield, because from people that I've talked to, now this is secondhand, it was, no, you don't have time to pack. Get out now. We don't know what's going to explode, right? So you have to have that sitting there ready to evacuate those children like that. That's going to cost a lot of money. Who's going to pay for that bus and that bus driver to be immediately available for that school? Winfield doesn't get any money from the landfill because the landfill is on Oneida land. That's why Horner is giving Oneida money and the county money. Winfield doesn't get anything. I think that's quite unfair. I think that Knox Horner should have to pony up and also give Winfield whatever it is, 85 cents, $1.20, whatever little penance it is he's giving the county and the city. That could be something in a stipulation to him. So what can Oneida do? First of all, renew this Jackson law ASAP. Please call a special session and renew it. Now, it's not going to stop the current 24 acres that they have permitted on Roberta Landfill Phase 2. That ship has sailed for those 24 acres. But it certainly can stop them from expanding that footprint. I've heard some no one here, but some other officials say, well, you know, that 1992 court case, nothing we can do. You just need to just go with it. Nothing to see here. Move on. That is not true. That is not true. I have talked to officials, state level officials. That is not true. And if someone is telling me that there's nothing we can do, move on, I personally am suspicious of that person. Right? Especially if that person happened to be one of the people that received the letter in 2003 that said the Jackson law is going to expire. You need to renew it. And that person did nothing for 7 years. Okay? So the letter went out in 2003 to the county attorney, to the county mayor, and the city mayor. I will not name those names. You can all Google it. Okay? But they had 7 years to renew it, and they didn't. It expired in July of 2010. The same month that it expired, the owners of Roberta Landfill Phase 2, who were local, I will not say their names, look it up. They got the permit for the solid waste permit the same month. Now, we're not stupid. We're not stupid. We know that they were sitting there waiting for that moment when the Jackson law would expire so that they could renew that solid waste permit, so that they could secretly move on with their plans, and we wouldn't know anything about it until some random Facebook post that alerted us to this, right? So follow the money. Okay, so there is something we can do. We can renew the Jackson law ASAP. That can't hurt. There's no reason for not renewing the Jackson law. And some people might say, well, okay, well, the county already renewed it, then wouldn't that be just, why would the city do it? Well, I was told that for one thing, it would just give us double protection. It would also give us 2 lawyers. So these 2 lawyers could team up and help fight, because it'll be a fight, right? We're not going to be able to do anything about the 24 acres, but when they try to expand beyond that 24 acres, and it does not matter that they have a pretty little map showing they want to have 700 acres, they will have to file for a new permit. At that point, our Jackson law, I have been told, will take effect, and we can fight it. And we will be waiting for that day. It should take about 3.5 years for them to fill up that 24 acres. So I encourage all of you to put it on your calendar, seriously, for about 3 years from now. Because we're not ignorant anymore. We're going to wait, and we're going to say, hey, have they filed? Have they filed? Have they filed? And we're going to expect that we're going to fight using our Jackson law. We would have an excellent case. We will have to fight it. It will be a litigation, but we need to be prepared for that. Knox Horner's prepared, or who Knox Horner's selling it to is certainly going to be prepared for that. But we have a very good case, according to what I was told. What else can we do? We can, some of the land, and this is talking about the train transfer site. The land directly west of the tracks is owned by Bearcat, and it is Winfield. It's considered Winfield city land. Other land, you know, next to it and all of that is Oneida land. So I was shocked to find out, like I always thought, you know, oh, it was nice little circles or something, right? And then I learned, no, this is crazy. How can, you know, how is this working like this? But that land directly adjacent is owned by Bearcat, which is the company, locally owned company, which is the landfill. That's considered Winfield. So Winfield already has zoning laws, so they can create what's called an overlay zone, and it's an additional blanket of zoning that says whatever they want to say. But other counties, I looked up what other counties had in theirs, and they could say, for example, there are no these type of trash transfers allowable within 2,000 feet of a school, or 1 mile of a school, or whatever you want to say. But I would ask that you guys help Winfield. You know, we've got a great legal team up here. You know, you guys have such expertise. Help them. Work together with them. And also create your own overlay, because it's coming, right? It may not be right this particular one right here, but you're going to need an overlay, because they are certainly coming, and you will need it eventually. Maybe next month, who knows? They're working so quickly that we don't know. So Jackson law, an overlay, and then these type of ordinances that could make it, as the gentleman so expertly said, not viable to come here. So some of these ordinances about using our roads, you know, you would have to have, you know, they're going to have to make it a 4-lane there so that they can turn. Get creative, right? Get evil. Come up with something, right? You know, come up with something that could make it not easy for them to just come in here and dump all over us, right? You have all of these things at your disposal. Let's use them. Make it difficult. And work with Winfield in creating some of those same things in Winfield. They just have 3 people up there, you know, and one of them is not feeling well. I don't even know how they're even doing anything up there. So work together with them and help them to create that, because Winfield can stop it. Winfield could stop it in its tracks right now, the train transfer. That's why Horner, to my understanding, met with them today at 2:00. I may be wrong, but I was told by someone who... Now, why would he go up there if he didn't know that they had some cards in their hands? And the cards that they have is that they could quickly throw down that overlay zoning, and then they're not able to just unload right beside the tracks, 300 feet from our school. They would be forced to build more track deep into Bearcat land, which would be the human thing to do, and transport and, unload there. Maybe, half a mile or, 3/4 of a mile from the school. Still not great, but at least human, And let me tell you something. This narrative that Knox Horner changed his mind about having the transport there, that's a lie. That's an outright lie, because I talked to the man directly after the meeting, and he said he was still going for it, right? So any kind of change of mind he had was not due to the public outcry, because he had not changed his mind right after the meeting, when you would think that his feelings would be, he would be a little bit hotter about it. No. So whoever was behind that probably told him, no, we're not going to do it there. The public has found out it's not expedient for us to do it there. But it was not Knox Horner. It was not Knox Horner. So we needn't think that Knox Horner is going to grow a heart and not have the transfer station 300 a football field away from our Winfield school. That's not going to happen. We're going to have to force his hand. Knox Horner is simply a flipper. He has been used by the owners of Bearcat, who are locally owned, the owners of Roberta Landfill Phase 2, who own the solid waste permit, and they're using him as the front man. They're giving him the ability to be a landfill owner. Without them, he would have nothing. He's going to be the new landfill owner, and in short order, he is selling it. That's what he does. You looked on his LinkedIn thing, and that's what he says he is, right? So he's flipping it. So anything he promises us means absolutely zero, because he can promise it, and it's going to last a month, and he sells it on to someone else. They didn't make promises to us. So if he happens to promise, okay, I'm going to build this rail in a half a mile, then we need to have it in writing that any contract that he makes with the next owner would have that stipulation in it, because otherwise it doesn't mean a thing. And in fact, anything that comes out of his mouth, any promises, need to have those same amendments to them. It's not a foregone conclusion that they're going to get this from TDEC, that they're going to get that 24 acres. It's not a done deal. It's not looking great, but they have to show a demonstrable need for that landfill. And the fact that our current landfill just opened up a new cell, which is going to last at least a decade, why do we need another one? So it's not a foregone conclusion, but knowing money and knowing the way things work, they'll probably get it. So, but I just want to encourage everyone to keep passing information and to keep talking and to try to encourage more and more people to come and to reach out to their mayors and their commissioners and their friends, so that we can keep fighting this, so that our legacy as citizens is solid. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey guys, I know everybody up here knows me. Most of you guys know me. My name's Ella. My husband and I own the Black Cat on Main Street. We initially got involved with this because of the dump station going to be at the end of Main Street. Who would have thunk that? After all the revitalization we've been doing down there, why would you even think about doing that? But now we have switched gears, and it's become not just caring about Main Street, but caring about this county, caring about the people that live here. We've had kids in sports and this is something that I've not heard brought up tonight. We've had kids in sports for a decade and a half. playing ball at the Bear Creek field and standing up there when a fire happens at the dump and there are Little League games going on, there are softball games going on, soccer. There's a fire at the dump, there are embers already falling on our kids. Already. Why do we want to add to that? And this Horner guy, he's now commenting in our current group. This evening, I commented, I asked a question. And this is a question I offer to you guys. I don't expect an answer right now. Has this been offered to any other surrounding county? And what was their answer? I know you guys, you know, that's something to look at, but we have heard that it was offered to a surrounding county and they were turned down, hands down. No wonder. Nobody wants, and I would say something other than poop, Miss O. Nobody wants that sitting on the tracks. Nobody wants that. You know, we're not a trash dump. This is one of the most beautiful places in this whole state. One of the most beautiful places. You guys know this. I'm born and raised here. I left, I came back. Imagine, I came back. Nobody comes back. I came back because I love it so much here. And I'm so passionate about this county and the people that live here. The people that live in this county are salt of the earth people. We are salt of the earth people. And you don't get that anywhere else. And this Horner guy, he can't even answer a simple question. I asked him that in the thing this evening. Has this been offered somewhere else? That's a question. He said, are you making a statement or is this a question? I literally said, it's a question. He showed up at the county commission meeting. He had no intention of speaking. He would not have spoken had I not called him out. And anybody that's in this room that was there knows that's the truth. And if he felt like he was a good neighbor, he would be here right now explaining everything to us.
A lot of short people here. Well, getting older is the hardest thing you can ever do. It's not for sissies. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk. I've done a lot of research, and I've found out that this is very confusing. There's more ifs, ands, and our buts in this than you can ever imagine. From my reading, and I can't guarantee this, Oneida has not yet ruled on this. Is that correct?
Ruled on what?
The landfill.
Oh, it's not been on any agenda that we had.
So you can deny it.
It's a little bit more complicated.
Of course it is. It is always more complicated. But in all of the reading that I did, I kept seeing everybody mentioned Scott County and Winfield, but not Oneida. Not in any of the documents. And I read a lot of them. In fact, I've got just about a 10th of them here. Let me ask you a question. This is just a theoretical question. Let's imagine I live in the city limits, so my trash is picked up once a week. Hallelujah. That means that I don't have to pay somebody to come get it, or I don't have to go get it myself, you know, put it somewhere. Let's say that I talk to my friends and I say, hey, but why don't you give me your trash and I'll have have them haul it away. How much you paying right now? Oh, $5 a week? I'll do it for $2. You just bring it to me and I'll have it hauled off and just charge you $2. You'd say I was crazy. But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about having people bring their trash in to us, and then it becomes our problem. How much money does it cost? How much money is it worth to us to have all the problems that we're going to have? I looked up, if you want to get educated, go to Google and Google problems with landfills. That's all you have to do. You're going to have more pages than you know what to do with. Then I made a mistake and put it in artificial intelligence and asked it what it thought. Oh, I think it called me dummy. The thing is, we have our own trash. Trash is a problem everywhere. Why don't we take care of our trash and let them take care of theirs? You know. Why would we want to take on more trash? I found a document that was sent out February, I think, of this year. And it's from the Division of Solid Waste Management. Oh, it was July 23rd that it was talking about, where the 2010 that they agreed that we, all that back there. Anyway, they said that somebody else wanted to take over this property already. And they had declined, saying, it reads that if a facility does not initiate construction and or operation within 1 year of the date of the permit, which was in 2010, the permittee must submit a letter to the commissioner 180 days prior to construction. If they don't have the letter, think about all the changes that happened since 2010. We all got a lot older. But we learned a whole lot about all these pollutants that we knew nothing about. Like, for instance, Teflon is poisonous. Duh. That is surprising to me. Teflon's great, but it is considered one of the, what is it called? Everlasting. Yeah. You got it. You read that, huh? It is a forever toxin. And there's a lot more that are forever toxins. In the county meeting, I talked about microplastics. We got plastic everything. You're even satin in them. We got plastic clothes and plastic chairs and plastic everything. And anything that even looks normal, it's probably got plastic in it, or it's covered in it, or it's coated with it, polyurethane. The thing is, with microplastics, it gets into the water. When it gets into the water, it gets into you. It does not go away. They are believing that it causes neurological problems, cancer, brain problems. Heaven help me. We have got a problem with all of these things. This is a problem with having too many papers. I looked at specific health effects. I didn't use AI for that. It says cancer, dioxins. They're human carcinogenics. The exposure has been linked to various cancers, including breast cancer. Developmental issues, neurological problems. At one time, I heard a doctor mention about Scott County having one of the highest rates of neurological problems in Tennessee. In fact, he said it was the highest. Developmental issues, problems in children, including those related to the nervous system, reproductive problems, miscarriages, immune system damage, hormone disruption, skin disorders, and liver problems, and diabetes, and many other health issues. That is just from landfills. What I looked up was health problems with landfills, and that's what I found. There's a thing called LFG, landfill gas. You know the stinky stuff? Landfill gas. That carries a lot of the toxins. Also, the water that goes through the landfill causes what is called chelation. I probably said that wrong. But what that does is it's like, the way it was described was like claws of a crab that grab toxins as it goes by. That's how it gets in the water. That's how it destroys the land, because it just seeps out through it. Now, I don't know what all we can do about it. The judge that ruled on this, I think it was 1992, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He's a judge. Got to respect that. But he said we were too emotional when it went to court. Also, he wouldn't let the lawyers cross-examine any of the witnesses for the other. I tell you what, go to Independent Herald and look up the landfill. It gives you the history all the way back through there. Really an eye-opener. And to tell you the truth, I was not impressed by this judgment. Both lawyers said that they disagreed with him because they think he misquoted a law. And it's possible that he did because it goes directly against the Jackson Law. Jackson Law is important. The thing is, I can't believe we got into this problem. I mean, we don't even get a power bill that we don't respond to, some way or another. They had the chance, they were notified by the state. You need to fill this out. Did they? No. Whatever reason. We need to now, but we still have to deal with that law that was passed, or not law, but judgment that was passed in 1992. We can do that. We just got to be meaner than they are. And we are. We're the volunteer state. And we volunteered away from the volunteer state when we became Scott State. I remember when we joined back into the Tennessee. At one time, we were separate from Tennessee. It was 1969. And I thought, boy, that's stupid. Why did we want to go back? We can apply for foreign aid. But we did go back. There's all kinds of things we could have got away with. But I could go on, but you've heard a lot of it. And, oh, there's one other thing that really shut me up. One of the articles I read was talking about problems with animals that are dumped in landfills. Whoever thought of that? But a lot of places, if there's something killed on the road, they put it in a truck and they take it to the landfill. And they were talking about diseases that are transmitted, get into your water, and you suffer from it. One of the diseases that is really hitting all of the South right now is called chronic wasting disease. If you're a deer hunter, you've probably heard of it. It eats the brain up. There is no cure. Deer have it, they transmit it. There has not been a confirmed transferal to humans yet. And it's a matter of time, because they say, don't eat this. But we're going to breathe this, we're going to drink this if it's thrown into the landfill. Also, I liked what the gentleman said, you know, when you have somebody dumping into your property. I had some property down next to Williams Creek. One of the biggest problems we had were people coming in and dumping stuff. They even dumped a dead mule, if you can believe that. Because people don't care. It's not theirs. It's not their problem. That's sad, but it's true. And then you have the problem, you don't know what they're going to be bringing. And let me ask you something. How much money would it take for us to have these problems? How much money would it take to have neurological problems and brain problems and chronic breathing problems, breast cancer, and all these other things? How much money would you take? When it comes down to where the rubber meets the road, none of us would do that. Because once you pull the trigger on this, ain't no going back. And some of this stuff never, ever deteriorates. Thank you very much.
Hi everybody, my name is Sheena King. I'm not an Oneida resident. However, I'm literally a stone's throw right in McCreary County from you guys. Downstream, may I mention. But I have worked in the East Tennessee area and in Oneida in years past, so it's basically home. Thank you guys for allowing me to speak, and thank you guys for listening to me stammer on. Our home is under threat. Once again, outside investors are descending upon Appalachia, waving promises of economic growth while disregarding the devastating toll that their actions will have on our land and our residents. Far too long, our region has been exploited by corporations that claim to bring prosperity, only to leave behind pollution, destruction, and communities struggling to recover. This landfill expansion is no different. Now, while the developers boast about job creation, we have to ask, at what cost? The people have spoken. We've made it clear that we oppose this landfill and that we demand protection for our land and our families for generations to come. We deserve better. Sustainable solutions to create jobs without sacrificing our health and our environment. We stand together, raising our voices to demand that our leaders help protect our home. The decisions made with this will determine the legacy that we leave behind. So let's ensure that is one of responsibility, stewardship, and commitment to the well-being of our communities. Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is John King. I'm also a McCreary County resident. Keep in mind again that we live downstream, so this definitely concerns us. I'll keep things short and sweet. I just wanted to remind everyone here that as elected officials, you've got the responsibility to represent and to carry out the will of the people. The people have spoken, the people are speaking, and the choice could not be more clear. This landfill is not good for the interest of the citizens of Scott County, nor the surrounding areas. In life, we get very few chances to be a hero, maybe 1 or 2 chances in a lifetime. This is one of those times in Scott County. When you go to vote, I ask that you keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
All right, hello everybody. My name is Scott McNamara. First, I want to thank everybody that's been sending us stuff on the Facebook page. I'm sorry we haven't been able to respond to everybody, but I am saving everything, and hopefully that's going to be a good spot for us all to collaborate moving forward. Thank everybody for being here tonight. I want to share a couple of random thoughts here. The first thing is, I'd like to start off by giving some credit to Mr. Horner. He brought up a very valid point in the county meeting. And that point was around all the new jobs that this can bring to the county. And I don't think we should disregard that. Think of all the chemotherapy specialists, the realtors that will be selling our homes, liquidation companies from closed businesses, evacuation drivers, respiratory therapists, and firefighters trained in chemical fires. So thank you, Mr. Horner. My second point, and that's for the folks up here, this is not time for meekness or timidness. This is not time to fear legal investments or lawyer bills. If we need to meet fire with fire, we should at least put up a defense, plotting our resources and putting them to work. I personally would be fine with an increased property tax for property that is safe for my children and a community that is thriving versus losing a little bit of pennies on the 100,000 in fear of a lawyer. My next point, and I'm not saying this to be braggadocious, but I have lived all over the country. One of my commutes was along Turnagain Arm in Alaska every day. I would watch beluga whales on my way to work. In Colorado, I drove along the Rocky Mountains. When I lived in Florida, I drove along US 1 and would look at the sunrise and the sunsets. I've traveled around Europe, Asia, Central and South America. With all these places that I have been, I chose Scott County. And even though we still travel to Colombia and other countries, we come back to Scott County. This is the longest place I have lived, here in Scott County. So we choose Scott County. We could have chosen 100 different places to start our businesses, but guess what? We chose Scott County. Many dear friends of ours from around the country and the world, they've also chosen Scott County. One of my favorite things in our coffee shops is when someone that lives here brings in somebody from outside, a family member or a friend from Chicago or New York City, and they come into our shop and they're proud of it. They're proud that that's in their town. But what's interesting to me is ever since we've moved here and we've told people, oh, we moved here from Mount Hood in Oregon, or I used to live in Alaska or Hawaii, people say, well, why did you choose Scott County? And that always struck me really odd. You guys should be proud of this frickin' place. 100%. So my thing is, we need to get rid of that misconception about why are you here? Why this isn't worth you? Because that's completely wrong. This place is amazing. So I think one of the things we need to keep in mind is constantly seeing trash trucks and trash trains and trash, litter, odors. All of that is going to continue to propagate that devalued impression of our county. So it's very important that we notice that this is a visual and visceral thing that we can get rid of now to help bolster the confidence and the pride in Scott County. My last part here, and this may be controversial. A few folks tonight have spoken about what options we have at our disposal. People, we are Americans. 200 years ago, we stacked bodies over a tea tax. We have direct action. There are things that we can do as Americans to get involved in highly annoying and legally questionable ways that will make doing business in this county extremely uncomfortable. Thank you.
We'll have to move this for the short girl. Well, I want to thank everybody that came out tonight. Scott had sent me some questions prior to the meeting. I only had a limited time to get information together, but I thought I'd try to answer those as best that I can and try to route people to information avenues. Kathy Obershansky is like a wizard when it comes to finding stuff. So yeah, so she's given me some things. So okay, the first question was: has an environmental impact study and/or other environmental studies and/or surveys been completed? If so, where are those results available for public viewing and review? So all of the environmental impact studies and things like that are done by TDEC, the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. And so I would direct you to their website, and Kathy can probably give it to you, to look up and see what, if any, studies have been done and the records of the permits and things that have been done in the past. Number two, do you care about your citizens and their health, or do you cater to outside entities? First of all, for those of you who know me, I can't believe you would ask this question. I have grown up here and returned here to raise my family because I love this community. I did not run for mayor for a job. I ran to make a change to better our community. To date, my administration has brought in over $2 million in grants to improve Oneida, and that's just in a year and a half. The health and safety of our residents is the utmost importance to me and my aldermen, so don't ever doubt that. Thank you. Why did our county leaders, specifically the mayor of Oneida and Scott County, wait until the public showed concern to say anything on social media when they should have been the first ones to speak up about it? Okay. First of all, the sharing of inaccurate information on social media is not beneficial to anyone, and there's been plenty of that going on. Secondly, I use social media as a tool to inform about public events in the town and to thank partnering organizations that have done things with us. I don't post about private business, beer permits, police arrest records, who hasn't paid their property taxes, who's fighting with their neighbors, all the calls that we get at City Hall on a daily basis. Our regular business meetings as a mayor and board of aldermen are always published, and the public is welcome to attend at any time and hear what matters we're discussing. It's normally the third Thursday of every month. This month, because Juneteenth falls on a Thursday, it's going to be the Thursday after that, which is the 26th. Am I right, Brent? The 26th. Please, our meetings are open. Please come and listen and hear what's going on. That is our forum when we're discussing business. Question number 4 is, how many IDB commissioners and mayors are at the City Hall meeting? I see a lot of commissioners here, and I commend you for being here and learning and hearing from the citizens. It was not a requirement of them to be here, and I didn't personally invite anyone. So I'm thankful for those that came and wanted to hear more information and get more educated about this whole process. I made these guys come, but they were going to come anyway, right? Okay. How long have Lori and Jared known about this, and also what is your association with Knox Horner? I have no association with Knox Horner. I'm not in business with him of any kind whatsoever. I do not own any of this land. I do not own a landfill permit. The current active permit was issued in 2010. Many people have known about different initiatives for a landfill way back before any of this current talk has started. And many prior landfill plans have failed for lack of support. I met with Knox Horner as a courtesy, as I would any potential business person that called City Hall and asked for time. No agreements were ever signed. I saw no proof of a business plan or a financial plan. Just because I met with him does not mean that I support this endeavor. And as your mayor, I feel it's my duty to meet with any potential businesses looking to come into our area, to be there, to be present, and answer questions. Number 6. How does this waste plan positively impact the citizens of Scott County? That's a weird question. I mean, jobs, we get some tipping fees, infrastructure, investment. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. If leachate is being processed in Oneida wastewater system, how much does it cost the city to process? The current landfill pays a per gallon surcharge for leachate treatment. The current rate, which is renegotiated yearly, is designed to cover treatment costs and protect our system. I did not have sufficient time to pull the numbers with accuracy. We're not getting rich off of it for sure, if that's what the insinuation of the question is. We would not be interested in entering into this venture because of the leachate fees that we would get paid. Can the city guarantee that there are no contaminants from the current landfill entering Pine Creek? The city gets our guide from TDEC. TDEC is the organization that does all of the monitoring, all of the testing. I don't think any municipality across the state can promise zero contamination without constant, ongoing testing. We constantly test and monitor, and so does TDEC. The current landfill is under TDEC monitoring, including water sampling on a regular basis. Will Oneida be processing leachate for any future landfill expansions and projects? So that decision will depend on what our current treatment capacity is. I met with water department officials today, and we're looking at this because the leachate, it's not easy to deal with, and it's a significant issue, okay? So we are not taking it lightly, and no split decisions are being made about that. So the decision depends on treatment capacity, environmental safety, and community input. Any proposed increase would need to be reviewed by our water plant engineers and likely brought before the mayor of board and aldermen for approval. Question 11 is, where is this trash coming from? If he plans to pay Scott County and Oneida $2 million annually at a rate of $1.20 a ton, that's a whole lot of trash. Where is it coming from? I don't know. I'm not a part of his business plan. I don't know. I don't know where that promise came from. Do we have proof that he, Knox Horner, has funding for this project? I am not privy to this information. Any project of this scale would need verified funding, bonding, and operational assurances before proceeding, and TDEC would be the agency looking at all the information, not necessarily the town. What will Oneida City do to modify zoning in order to protect landowners and homeowners' families that live along intended rural roadways from trash transportation? Can they restrict access to Bear Creek? Zoning modifications normally originate through a landowner, and they are sent to our Planning Commission. They meet monthly on the third Monday of each month. The mayor and board examine zoning issues once they come out of the Planning Commission with recommendations. So the place to start is the Planning Commission. So third Monday of each month. Zoning regulations can apply to land, not public roadways. If a landowner has a concern, I would suggest they appear before the Planning Commission to determine if there are avenues to pursue along those routes. Number 14, is Oneida willing to implement/adopt the Jackson Law? Because it would be a violation of the Sunshine Law to vote on an issue outside of our regularly scheduled meeting, we are unable to take a vote at this meeting. However, I can confirm that I have placed the matter on our June meeting for discussion. Our June meeting will be June 26th due to the federal holiday on our regular meeting date. Hopefully that gives you all some answers and please know that we're asking lots of questions behind the scenes just like you all are doing. So in closing, thank you for showing up. Thank you for signing in. All of these things are very important in this matter, okay? Thank you for showing up and holding us accountable. Myself and the aldermen are not rubber stamping anything. We are listening, fact-finding, and working to ensure that any action taken is fully informed in the long-term interest of Oneida and Scott County. We welcome your continued involvement, and we're happy to talk to people after the meeting if you'd like to do that. But with no further business, I'm gonna adjourn it. So thank you all very much for being here and for your input. Have a good evening.